Good Saturday evening, everybody. Welcome to the Steelers Game Day Post-Game Zone. Mason's Pesky, your host, here with you today. Tonight, we're going to recap the Steelers' 30-13 loss at the hands of the Indianapolis Colts this afternoon, or late afternoon, evening at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. Their first loss ever at Lucas Oil Stadium. I just found that out. Pretty disappointing and disgusting, considering the fact that we always typically beat the Colts, and today the Colts pounded us. Disgusting. I'm disgusted right now. That's what I want to say about this team. We led 13-0. Felt like everything was going our way. And we blew it. Like we always do. This game, we led 13-0 and we gave up 30 points, like I just said. And the Colts didn't have their franchise quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Didn't have their all-star running back in Jonathan Taylor or their other guy in Zach Moss. They let Trey Sermon, Gardner Minshew, and they lost Michael Pittman Jr. too due to an injury. And I mean, I know there's a lot of heat right now about that play, but I don't think that... Yes, it was pretty much a targeting, and he probably should have been ejected. However, and because Pittman was a defenseless player. However, I think that, I don't know. I mean, it was a dirty hit, but I actually take back what I just said. He probably shouldn't have been ejected because what's he going to let him do, catch the ball? I just read a Twitter post. I'm going to question, and this is where I want to question, and this Twitter post is what I'm going to reflect on. I'm not going to use this podcast or this post-game show to reflect on the game, because as we all know, the game was bad. We got dominated by a team with their backup quarterback, third-string running back in Trey Sermon, who was good at Ohio State, and I liked him, and didn't have their top player after one of our guys knocked him out. From the Nick Chubb injury week 2, this injury, the Pittman one, there's a lot of heat. I was reading Twitter, and this is like what I said. We're going to use this show to discuss the Steelers, the state of the Steelers and the Steelers culture, and why Mike Tomlin needs to be fired as head coach effective immediately. I truly do believe he's the wrong man to lead this team right now. He has to go. There's no doubt in my mind. He has to go. He is no longer capable of leading the Pittsburgh Steelers. The locker room has lost respect for him. He's a talented coach. He's a good coach. But he needs to go elsewhere. And I'm trying right now to hold back. I really am. But I'm furious about this game. I'm pissed. And I was even more pissed after reading this tweet. So you've probably been waiting out for the tweet. So without further ado, here we go. If my high school girlfriend, and this isn't me, this is somebody else. This was a tweet, though. If my high school girlfriend had NFL caliber talent, she'd be drafted by the Steelers because of these three qualities: selfishness, undisciplined, and dirtiness. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are under head coach Mike Tomlin, who is no longer fit to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's who the Steelers have become under our current owners. This is not what the Chief wanted the team to be. The Chief is rolling over in his grave right now, laughing at us. By rough, tough football, he meant a team that is going to play hard but not be dirty about it like Tomlin has made them and so undisciplined. Look at these receivers. And this right here is why Tomlin needs to be traded or fired, effective immediately. Look at these receivers. Pickens, Johnson, Claypool, Brown. Sure, you can blame his on the perfect hit. Brown. None of these guys were undisciplined behavioral menaces in college. They were perfectly normal. until they got to Pittsburgh. And guess who is not being utilized at all? The one receiver on this team who is still somewhat normal and reminded me of Tyreek Hill at training camp. That's a guy named Calvin Austin. Guess how much volume he's gone this year? Relatively none, even after that big touchdown in Vegas. He's not being utilized. This team is not being ran or coached properly, and we all know it at this point. Enough is enough. Clearly. So mad right now. I'm so mad. I need to calm down. Anyway, though, something is wrong. Clearly, it's the culture. Remember this tweet about the high school girlfriend. It states 3 words: selfish, undisciplined, and dirty. That's not just the receivers. That's everybody on this team, it feels like. You see Detroit Lions. They're on right now. They're beating the Denver Broncos 21-0. We're 0-10-1 a couple years ago. Their motto is this: all grit. They play tough. They play hard for their head coach. And they play tough, rough, tough, physical football, like what the Chief wanted. But they don't play dirty, which is what Pittsburgh has done. I don't get it. I just don't. I think Tomlin's enabling this. He was even nasty today in his press conference. I hope this man gets the chance to coach the Commanders, the Panthers, or the Chargers next year. Because he can easily succeed in any of those 3 places. It's just Pittsburgh needs something different. We really do. I think Bieniemy from the Commanders would be a great choice to be our next head coach. He deserves a chance, and he could truly change the culture here and bring some of Andy Reid. Brian Johnson, he'd be good. Steve Wilkes, he's another one. He'd be very good. So, I think there's a lot of good coaching candidates. Personally, I think Ben Johnson might be a little overrated. And I'm a Lions fan. And I'm saying Ben Johnson might be overrated. So keep an eye on that. But anyway, here's the thing. The status quo is fine for the Rooneys. It really is. And I hate to say it because Art Rooney's such a nice guy. I respect him a lot. And I respect Tomlin a lot too. It's just, right now this is not a sustainable winning product. And I think we all know this. And don't get me wrong, there were mistakes made in other areas. Extending Mitch Trubisky. Making him like the highest paid backup in the league. And they pull him with 2 minutes left in the game for Mason Rudolph. And just a couple short weeks ago after the Cleveland game, we had these people saying, Kenny sucks, yeah, Kenny Pickett, he's a loser, we hate Kenny Pickett. Guess what? Kenny Pickett made this team good. Look at how atrocious they've been since Kenny Pickett's gone. He plays with grit. Personally, I'm surprised the Lions didn't draft Kenny Pickett. Because he fits their culture. Kenny Pickett plays with grit. He plays hard. His teammates respect him. And he doesn't play dirty like DeMonte KZ did today on Pittman Jr. Disgusting. It's ridiculous. So what is next? Here's what you do at the quarterback position. Keep Pickett. Give Mason these last 3 games to audition himself to be another team's backup in 2024. And get Trubisky out of Pittsburgh with a trade right here and right now. I would have traded him last year for a third. You're not going to get a third for him. You'll be lucky if you get a fifth or a sixth for him. Kenny needs to be back as the starter or competing for the starting job. Sign a backup in free agency and draft a quarterback. Whether it be Penix Jr. or Jaden Daniels. You got to go one of those two. I know there's a lot of good quarterbacks this year, but they're going to be picked much higher than our pick. And here's the other thing. There's so many good playmakers. And this is the other thing I want to get to. You look at the draft and you think about playmakers. Tonight when I was taking a sour, I say about Texas Tech and how they don't have many first-round hits. Specifically Tyree Wilson. But they did have one first-round pick. And believe it or not, he was picked after Mitch Trubisky in his draft class. His name is Patrick Mahomes II, and he was their quarterback. You put Mike Tomlin as the head coach of the Chiefs. You put Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is going to suck. Travis Kelce's going to get no volume. And I guarantee you he's not dating Taylor Swift because he wouldn't want to date a no-name NFL player, which is what Kelce would be in the Steelers offense. Because here's what this Steelers offense does. They take away, they punish key playmakers. Pickens, Austin, Darnell Washington. They could do so many creative things with that offense. Instead, they make it so darn predictable, it's not even a freaking joke. It's embarrassing is what it is. That offensive coaching staff is atrocious, to say the least. Atrocious. Oh my gosh, I'll tell you what. Back to the quarterback dilemma. It sucks that we need a quarterback this year. It really does. You look at playmakers. Terrion Arnold, quarterback Alabama. He's amazing. Great playmaker. We need secondary help. It'd be great. Down the line. Brock Bowers. Tight ends are looking like they're becoming the next big position. He's a generational tight end. If he falls to us, we're not able to pick him because we don't have a need a tight end and we need a quarterback. Amari's Mims. Offensive line playmaker. Talented there. Can't pick him. Xavier Worthy, a talented receiver, might be available. Point being is there's going to be so many talented players at other positions we need in this draft available with our first round pick. We cannot pick those players because we have a big need at quarterback. That's the problem if you're not a team like New England. Because New England is in the perfect place. They're going to get a top 2 or 3 pick, and so they're going to get a guy like Drake May, who's going to be a good quarterback. And they're going to be able to surround him with playmakers. Pittsburgh can't do that because our draft pick is not high enough. This franchise is between a rock and a hard place. It really is. And that's because too many people in this culture have embraced status quo. And I was never a big fan of Big Ben. But I'm thankful that he came out and said what he did this week. Thank you, Ben, for exposing our culture. And Pat McAfee said something too. Thank you, Pat McAfee. Thank you, Andrew Filipponi. Thank you, 93.7 The Fan. Thank you for all those who have spoken their minds about the Steelers culture and the standard. It means a lot. This city needs leaders like you. Next week, we're not going to be chanting Fire Canada. We're not going to be chanting Mason Rudolph. We're going to be chanting 2 things. Fire Tomlin and sell the team. The NFL is changing. The Pittsburgh Steelers aren't. Time for a new tradition, a new leader, a change in everything. That's all I have today. The next game is Saturday, December 23rd against the Cincinnati Bengals. Kickoff is at 4:30 p.m. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. Pray for Israel. Enjoy this week. And as always, peace. See you guys next week.